Talk now to Hossok Lee Makiyama, the director of the European Centre for International Political Economy. Hossok, welcome back. Good to see you. So, a fourth round of trade talks. What are your expectations from all of this?
Well, this is probably the trade talks that the United States have been engaged in that has been going on for the longest. We know through the grapevine that the talks have been going on even before Trump probably took office in informal form, because the US-China relationship is perhaps the most important. And now as we see, well, the US administration increasing their leverage by trying to rope in its European partners into 100% tariff, we are probably very, very close. And we are probably down to a couple of sticking points. And they are on both sides trying to push the other one over the finishing line.
How complex are these negotiations?
Well, sometimes they are very, very complex, and sometimes they're not that complex at all. I know I gave a very academic answer. It was not really my intention, but ultimately it usually comes down to 1-2 points. And in this case, it's probably about the economic exchange between the United States and China, which is actually not so trade-driven, but actually investment-driven. And it's a question about how much cash United States is allowed to place in China and vice versa. And we've seen that also in the other agreements, for example, between the US and Japan, which basically came down to how much Japan was willing to invest in the United States.
We've been reporting this success on a framework for TikTok, but I mean, presumably the future of TikTok in the United States still remains in the balance somewhat. I mean, how much of a sticking point is the company's fate for these talks?
Let's face it, no trade deal between two major powers like United States and China is conducted on the sake of one company. It could be an unnecessary friction. It could be a sticking point that the other side is trying to pocket. And I think we have just one impediment less along the long list of maybe 10 points of similar caliber that has not been reported on or that has been settled very early on. And I think this is also one of the issues where the United States could be setting a very dangerous precedent by saying, look, China, you will be entitled to act in a similar way against the US companies who is becoming too popular in China in the future.
What's at stake for Europe in these China-US talks?
Well, the nightmare scenario for Brussels and Paris and Germany is ultimately the real adults in the room, which is basically Beijing and Washington will do a deal and throw Europe under the bus. Now, Europe has offered to bully China and partner with the United States, basically saying the old cliche of don't bully me, bully the new Asian guy. And there's a certain limit in terms of mileage, how far you can go, because in the end, the transatlantic era is coming to an end. And the second the United States and China is reaching a new accord and a new understanding, we are looking at dire straits for Europe in terms of its global relevance.
Hossok Lee Makiyama, thank you for that. Hossok Lee Makiyama, Director of the European Centre for International Political Economy.